Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hints of Hisui. Does anyone remember what number episode we're on? Because I certainly don't.
I think
Is this
19?
19?
We're on 19 already?
We're doing
Wow.
pretty well, I think.
Y'all
Next
are
episode's
crazy. Thank
20
you guys
then.
so much for the support. We're on episode 19 already. And as you can probably tell, unfortunately, Andy is unable to make this podcast today. So go spam the comments that something about hoping the movie Andy went to go see was good, because from last week he needs to see a good movie, because he needs his faith reawakened in movies, because that Minecraft trailer was not it for him, and I think for most people I don't think it was I don't think it was what they were looking for, you know.
Seems to be the
I mean,
general consensus.
If he's going to see Beetlejuice, you're like, I genuinely enjoyed it.
Aren't you supposed to not say that like multiple times?
I mean, you
like
can't
that?
Three
say it one
times.
more time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. Well, I will refrain from that then. Anyways, we got the rest of the crew here. Other than Andy, we got Tom, we got Ethy, and we're gonna, of course, talk about probably everything except Pokemon. You know, that's what we tend to do on this podcast.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So
That's-
I am
going.
curious.
Oh, what? Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, Cade, what movie do you think Andy's seen? Because I really don't know.
I have no idea what movies are even out. I know the Beetlejuice movie. Movie's out right now. I know he's already talked about seeing Deadpool.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what my what Noah, who, if you guys watch my streams, he's the movie dude in my streams. He talks about movies a lot. Oh, there's does a Transformers movie come out this weekend, or is that last weekend?
Oh, really?
I've got no idea. It's just called Transformers 1. Could not tell you. There's one called Am I Racist? There's the Ronald Reagan biopic.
Ooh.
Lots of interesting movies.
Alien's been out for a while, right?
Oh, Romulus? What's his
Yeah,
name?
yeah. I'm literally just going off of a Google list. And there's some others that I skipped. One called Speak No Evil, one called The Killer's Game. It Ends With Us, The Forge. I'm trying to remember. Noah said he watched a really good movie recently, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, there's the there's the Twisters movie.
Twisters, yeah.
The
I
only
didn't know that was still out.
Well, yeah, no, I had to scroll down the list. Let me also drop Despicable Me 4 and Inside Out 2 and those movies at this point.
Oh my god.
I saw the Garfield movie. It wasn't great.
Oh,
There's a Garfield movie?
unfortunate.
There's a new Garfield movie with Chris Pratt as Garfield.
Yeah,
Doing
okay,
what he
that sounds
does.
about right.
And that's some of why I'm so upset about it. Like, I would have wanted to watch it, but ever since some of the recent things that Chris Pratt has said, I used to be a big Chris Pratt fan. Parks and Rec, every day. But no,
Wait,
no.
Chris
I-
Pratt said
mm.
bad things? This is news to me.
Just some, like, homophobic and transphobic stuff.
Ah, well, fun fact. He is from middle of nowhere, Minnesota. And I've been to the town that he's
Oh.
from. So, yeah. He's from way up north also, by the way. I'm not from the same place. I don't live near the same place, but I've been to the town. But yeah, rural Minnesota, would not be surprised if, you know, someone from rural Minnesota said stuff along those lines.
Yeah.
Possibly checks out.
Unfortunately. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. When did Beetlejuice even come out? I feel like I've seen ads for that movie for a long time, so I don't actually know. Is it like
I
just
think
coming
it
out?
just came out last week. I
Okay.
think last week was the
5th of
release.
September in Australia, at least.
I don't know, like when do they start? Because new movies obviously come out like normally around this time of the week when we're recording. Do you think he's seen a new movie, or do we think he's seen maybe an older movie, or an older movie being one that's not releasing in the next few hours? I guess.
I don't know. We should have just asked him.
Yeah,
We
I don't know
really
why we
should
didn't
have.
ask.
Yeah. Well, we won't ask him now because we don't want to distract the other moviegoers by making Andy pull out his phone, because that is my least favorite thing when I go see a movie. It's people who pull out their phones in the middle of the movie.
That's why I sit all the way in the back.
Well, yeah, the back is objectively the best spot to sit.
Yeah.
Are you in agreement, Tom?
Well, I'm just in like what I've heard about sitting in the back at movie theaters. I don't want to be next to those people who are just smacking each other's lips.
Oh,
Okay, well,
fair, but
I
Well,
suppose.
maybe that's why you're in the backcade.
Yeah, oh yeah, you know me.
Yep.
You
Oh, yeah.
know me.
Lady Slayer over here.
Known moviegoer out here.
God.
Anyways, I feel like we've talked about Andy. We also hope Andy's is doing well in school. I mean, I don't really care about the grades. I'm sure he's doing fine. Just like, school kind of sucks. So, I
Yeah.
hope he's doing well with that. But other than that, how have you guys been? What have you guys been doing lately? Anything important or interesting or even uninteresting that you want to talk about?
I started my first paycheck for Comic-Con High. Or not my wait, hold on. The pay period started for Comic-Con High in Huntsville, Alabama, coming up October 4 through 6. That paycheck started, and I just got done with 4 of 4 shifts in a row.
That is absolutely insane.
So I'm exhausted. That's 48 hours of
Yeah.
work at
That's
night.
crazy.
So
Oh, Evie.
yeah, and I get to do it again next week, which is why I won't be here next week, because I couldn't pick up Sunday, so I had to pick up Thursday because I need the extra money. So next Thursday I won't be here. I'll be at work. But maybe we'll have someone else replace me.
maybe.
Not just Andy.
We'll see.
People are cooking in the background. Not me. I don't cook. I don't. At least not for this podcast. I don't do that stuff.
I hope. Yeah, we'll pray for you, Evie, on next
Yeah.
Thursday or whenever.
2 straight
Thank
weeks
you.
of 48 hours is going to be crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The best of luck to you.
But the money's gonna be nice though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Overtime pay plus incentive pay because I'm picking it up with open shift.
Ooh.
Nice.
They put an extra like my base pay, and then they say, okay, well, since you picked up, you'll get this much extra money, and since you're doing overtime, we legally have to make it like time and a half. So X plus Y times 1.5. It's good money for me.
Yeah.
If the math checks out.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom?
On the topic of work, I don't know if this is too personal to talk about, so I'll try to keep it fairly vague. But soon I'm supposed to decide whether I renew my contract for work. So that's going to decide whether I stop working at the end of this year or if I continue for an extra year. So that's been on my mind.
That,
But yeah,
Hard decision.
yeah, hard
it's a pretty
decision.
hard decision.
Especially you seem to be enjoying yourself in Japan on some levels, but I also know you've
Sometimes.
mentioned some of the struggles of uh being a foreigner over there.
Yeah, I think it's also just to do with I guess when I decide to go home and continue my life in Australia, how much longer
Mm,
I want to put that off for.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's been on my mind. Otherwise, I got the chance to play a really neat indie game that came out recently called Reka. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, so you playing that game?
Reka.
Mm.
Um, if you know like the story of Baba Yaga, which I don't really know, but it's about like a witch who lives on a chicken house. It's a very weird like folk tale, or I'm not sure of the correct term for it, but it's a game based around that. So you play as like a witch, and you kind of go around, do little quests, and build a house that is on a chicken. And the way the house chicken works is really cool because like the building mechanics, I guess, are like similar to Fortnite, but you've got a lot more decoration options. So you can really go up and build like a tall tower. And all of this is on top of a chicken. And then you say up, up, chicken. And the house just grows legs and starts walking. And you can explore the map
I
on your
did
moving
see,
house.
I was in the stream when your
What?
chicken was walking around, and that shit was hilarious.
Oh
It's
my
it's
god.
crazy. So that's
I
really
can't wait
cool.
to see the VOD.
I think
It's
it's up now. I even made a little short just trying to highlight the key points of the game because the VOD is like 1 hour 40 minutes. Um, but yeah, the other thing I kind of liked about it is other than that, the game's sort of about like going around doing quests. And it's open world, but not really. It's more like level based, where each level is a small open world, sort of centered around like one town each. And it seems like each level is helping out some sort of spirit and gaining more witch powers. So, for example, the very first level, you're helping out a forest spirit, Leshy, and you sort of have to decide and make choices about what to do with these people that have been logging the forest. And then after you do his quests and help him out and like do magic to do so, you he grants you some of his powers, and then you move on to the next area and do more magic stuff, get more magic powers. It's pretty cool. I like the loop because I don't know
Nice.
about you, but I'm kind of tired of like open world survival games, sort of like Power World,
Oh
sort of
yeah.
like The Forest,
need
where you
a
just
little bit
build
of a
and live.
twist to it, to keep it fun and interesting, I assume.
Yeah, yeah. I think having everything in like short levels makes it a lot more. It keeps my focus a lot more.
Yeah. Is this the full circle of we've gone from level-based games to fully open world, and now it's looping back around to people wanting level-based games again?
Uh, nah, based on a lot
Well,
of AAA titles, I think people do want open world, but I feel like there's more and more definitely like people who don't like open world, but I also think like, at least for me, I feel like an open world is nice when it's like not procedurally generated. Like the open world still needs to have character, and I think for a lot of these survival open world games, a lot of them I feel like are like indie, and for that, like in a lot of indie games do rely on procedural generation because you just don't have the resources to put into making the open world. So kind of giving it a little bit of a twist and having this level type of thing with the open world can maybe make the open world seem a little bit less like procedurally generated. Whether it is or not, I don't know, but at least the town itself maybe on each level isn't. I'm just speculating because I haven't played the game myself, but just ways to switch up the whole idea of open world, because I feel like it's a buzzword that a lot of people still are like very interested
yeah.
in when they hear
Oh yeah.
about a game.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot that can be said about like the open world genre or whatever you want to call it and the hype around it. I mean, even back like when Skyrim came out, I feel like that's when everyone was demanding, I want open world Pokemon, I want open world Mario, I want open world this and that. But even back then you would hear a lot of people say like I want the open world, but it has to be good because there was so many examples of just boring open world games.
Yeah.
And I think Skyrim was a game that at the time was like regarded as had done open world well, which is quite funny because nowadays I think people still want open world games, but good because people
Mhm.
still make bad open world games, and now we have
Yep.
Starfield.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Cade,
think,
what about you?
yeah, Cade, what's your week been like?
It's been good. Let me think here. My I don't know if I commented on this last episode, but my my parents are currently on a vacation to England and Ireland, and the
Nice.
entirety of this week, from like when we recorded the last episode to now, they've been out of town. They'll still be out of town for a few more days, and I personally love it. They as if you've watched enough of this podcast, you'll know that I almost moved out, and then life happened, and I'm still like very excited to move out whenever the circumstances are right.
Mhm.
Not because I don't like my parents, just because, you know, the situation isn't the best, I guess. Not like, again, I don't hate my parents or anything like that. I just like I want to move out, you know.
Yeah.
And I like generally am very like self-sufficient. Like I have my structure and I have my habits, and I just kind of I go through my schedule every day, and I'm fine with that. And I enjoy it, and I think it's, for me, it's a lot it's a lot easier to just go about my day not having to talk to my parents like every half hour, stuff like that. That might sound
I gotcha.
so like, I don't know, that might sound like really bad of me to say. I'm not really articulating it well, but it's just been nice. One of the biggest values about me, not, again, Tom got a little deep, I might dig a little deeper here. One of my biggest values is autonomy in my life. I think that comes from me having diabetes and having my entire life rely on an insulin pump. So when I'm able to, like, you know, in these moments where I am not living with anybody else because my parents went on vacation, these are moments that I really enjoy. So yeah, but that's like, I guess that's like a but like that makes my life more open. So what I've been actually doing with that time is not video games at all. I've been, of course, because I have to take care of the house as well, I have to do a lot of other things that my parents would normally do, like water my mom's plants and all the other, you know, day-to-day things that you need to do to keep a house safe and functioning, stuff like that, which, I mean, I don't really care. I'm fine doing that stuff. And then my like fantasy sports season is coming up, because I normally do fantasy basketball and fantasy hockey. I know it's weird, I don't do fantasy football, I don't know why, but my fantasy hockey draft is a week from Monday, and so I've been doing research just loose prep, not anything super in depth, you know, but just, you know, getting notes on all the players, just remembering, figuring out where everybody went through free agency and stuff like that, but not stuff that's interesting to people who play a bunch of video games. Really the only video games I've been playing have been the stuff, the jam games that I've been streaming recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a
Is it-
segue?
Is
Well,
it a
Oh,
segue?
no, go ahead,
We
Tom.
can make it a segue.
I
if
want
you
to know something. What the hell is fantasy football?
What?
Well, what is fantasy football? I feel like I've heard that word like my whole life.
Do you
but I
not
have
know
no
what
idea
fantasy
it
sports
even
are,
is.
Tom?
Like I know, like people in high school would like talk about it and they'd bet like real money on it or something.
Oh,
Crap.
wow. Okay. So basically, fantasy sports is a general concept. Basically, where you go and draft like real world players on your team, and then like how they do in the game, like everything is worth like fantasy points. So then you build up fantasy points based on your players' like performance in the league each week for the NFL, or like each day for like basketball and hockey. And then over a week you add up the total amount of points, and then you're playing someone that week as well. So if you have more points than the person you're playing against, you win that week. And then you go throughout the season, and then at the end of the season there are playoffs where in the last few weeks, it like just like in the NFL or like the any other professional league, there's the playoffs, but the playoffs happen at the end of the regular season because obviously not every single team makes the playoffs in like real sports. So then you basically go through like a single elim bracket and figure out who wins, and there's like a champion to all this thing. And normally when money gets involved, there's like a buy-in. There's leagues that I play are very low buy-in,
Yeah,
like
that
$5 or
sounds
$10. And then it's either like winner gets all and second gets their money back or something like that.
Right.
And that's generally how it works. And I don't know, I know I talk about doing all this research, but it's just like it makes watching the sports, I feel like, more interesting. And I can completely understand how like people like get into sports betting, because having a fantasy team is kind of like a gateway drug into sports betting. I have never sports bet in my life, and I hope I never will, because that shit is crazy. And I'm just here to have a good time. It also makes it fun to go watch sports with like your friends and stuff like that, and you can like shit talk during the week about like, haha, your guy just like, for example, for basketball, like someone will shoot like, going tonight, well they'll shoot like 3 for 9 and get like 5 points, and because they missed 6 shots and only made 3, their player will literally end up with negative points, and then you can give that person shit for having a player that had negative points and stuff like that, basically.
Wow.
I did not
I
do a
can see
great
how
I
job
understood
of
most of the
explaining.
concept, but
What?
I've understood most of the concept of it, but I didn't know like how deep it went.
Oh,
So
it can go.
This is
really-
interesting.
it can go like really, really deep. Like there are like very much like a lot more complex. There's like different ways to run a league as well, that I won't really explain. There's like, for at least NBA and NHL, there's something called categories, which is different from a points league. And then there's also like, you can draft using like budgets and stuff. It's all really, really weird, and really complicated, but yeah, it can go very, very deep. And there are people that I know who are in like 4 leagues too.
Wow.
It's wild. So
How?
me in 1 league for 2 sports is more than enough for me. Anyways, these guys probably don't want to hear me talk about fantasy sports, because this isn't really a sports podcast.
Oh, what do you mean? We talk about sports all the time.
I know, we love talking about sports ball here.
Sports ball.
Go sports. Good job. Do the thing. Kick the ball. Or don't kick the ball. Hands. What are they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's bad coming from a nurse. What are hands?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can ride
Yeah.
that past
Should we-
segue we skipped over.
Yeah, I know. We really skipped the like one of the best segues
The
set up
perfect
ever.
segue.
I just wanted to know what.
No.
fantasy
It's
sports
not
are.
on you, because if
all
you want to
good.
know about fantasy sports, I'm happy to talk about sports. I am a yapper. Do you know probably like 1 hour of each day I spend at work is talking about sports with my coworkers?
Wow.
Probably not a full hour, but like, maybe a half hour to 45 minutes. It's a lot. Anyways, we are going to talk about a few games this week. We are all either in the process of playing or have beaten Pokemon Berserk. And don't worry, we're going to talk about Berserk next episode when Andy's here as well. And then we're also going to touch on Tower of Ashes, because everybody in this podcast episode has played Tower of Ashes. I don't think Andy has. No, I don't think he has.
I don't think so.
The rest of us have. So is there which game do you guys want to start with?
I kind of want to start with Tower of Ashes.
Okay. Let's start with Tower of Ashes.
Cool. So Tower of Ashes, for those who don't know, you really should know. This is a roguelite Pokemon game made by Pikachu Mazinga and Brawligator. I know at least Pikachu Mazinga, aka Maz, I think they go by, was on the Phoenix Rising team and is
Yes.
a very talented artist. Is Brawligator also in that same boat or not?
I'm not sure, but I believe that they both do a little bit of everything. They both do some art. They both do some programming.
Okay. Well,
But I'm not sure about Brawligator's past.
So it's a roguelite. I am coming at this. I will just say I've not played Ultralight, so this is, and I did not play a lot of Pokerogue, so this is really my first foray into a Pokemon roguelite. But basically the concept is, at least the premise of the game with like story backing, is that there's an ancient tower that burns down at the end of every night, no matter what, and then in the morning it rises from its ashes, and you basically go up the tower once a day and try and beat the Ho-Oh at the end. And you can use a lot of different Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon are available to you. There's also a lot of different relics which give you passive boosts or non-passive. Well, mostly passive boosts.
Mostly
on your
passive.
team.
I think there's like one or two that are actually active.
Yeah. And there is, I mean, have I missed anything really on the base game?
No, that's the base
I don't
of
think
it.
so.
And you can also
Yeah.
get upgrades between each run.
Yeah.
Although Cade didn't need to do that.
Well, I got
Lucky.
upgrades at the end of my first run before I did my second run.
Oh, I thought you... Well, I guess we can get into it, but I thought you beat it on your first try.
No, I did 2 runs and I beat both runs.
Ah.
But I beat the game twice. Because
Nice.
You beat
technically,
it twice.
well, technically to get all of like the lore sheets, you need to beat the game twice.
Wow.
Oh,
And you just did that in 2 attempts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe I'm just
Damn.
built
Wow.
different. I don't know.
Yeah.
you really are.
Anyways, I'll start the conversation and you guys can go off of me. And I will say this is the most fun I've had with the Pokemon gameplay loop in so long.
Oh,
That's
yes.
a big statement.
Yes, I know it is. And I'm
That
fully
is a
here
big
to stand
statement,
by
but I'm here for it. I can agree with that.
it.
Like
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
that it's such a bold statement to say, but it's also like I feel like I can confidently say that because it's, I don't know, something about Tower of Ashes gave me a thrill that I haven't really gotten from other fan games in a while. I don't know, like something about the level of difficulty and then having these relics that kind of like boost you back up kind of gave me that rush of like, oh, I'm still good because I've got this extra thing and this extra thing.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of the art. I think the music is a very underrated part of this game as well. I think it's quite excellent. I know it's just Pokemon themes, but they're all like banging Pokemon themes from Gen 4, I'm pretty sure. But I think what really sets this game apart, and I'm gonna make an assumption here from the other roguelites, is the relic system. I feel like this is the best done like passive relic system that is probably in a Pokemon roguelite. But maybe I'm speaking straight out of my ass. I don't know.
No, I mean like Poke Rogue I don't know much about. I can tell y'all about like Ultralight did have that thing where you start out a little bit better and then everything else is kind of just there. Didn't really have anything like the relic system. So it didn't compound as much, I guess.
Just to explain to Cade, because I guess Cade didn't play Ultralight, and we can talk a bit about Pokemon too, because I guess these are all like very fair comparisons. They're all very similar games. You're kind of doing incremental battles and then doing a boss after so long, and then trying to get stronger and stronger, building a team. The relic system in Ultralight works through choosing like a partner Pokemon, and you can hold one partner Pokemon and they will give you some sort of overall boost. And the boost will be very similar to how the relics work. For example, I remember I had a Clefairy, and it meant that every turn I would use, well, not every turn, but maybe like 1 in 3 turns, I would use Metronome as a bonus attack. And so the partner Pokemon were quite wacky, and they did have lots of fun effects. In Pokerogue, you have a lot of items you can accumulate, but a lot of them last for, say, like 10 turns, for example. Like you buff your attack for 10 turns, or so on. And they're a bit more plain, and they're not permanent, so it doesn't feel as satisfying. There are some permanent ones, like you can get DNA slices to make fusion Pokemon, you can get a Mega Ring. But those are like very, very rare in Pokerogue. I think what makes Tower of Ashes is so fun, and this is really getting down to like the depths of game design and what at least I personally want in a roguelike. I like it when you accumulate items continuously and you get powerful and more powerful and more powerful, and then those items build on those items and build on those items and just get stronger and stronger. You're never asked to trade out one relic to pick up another. You just get to keep on picking them up and you feel more powerful, and the game gets more and more fun. And that's what I liked about this system, at least.
Yeah, it was really cool getting to have everything just kind of compile like that, where I just, by the end of my first run, the run that I won and beat Ho-Oh, I was, oh my god, I don't even remember what all the relics I had were, but I know I had like one that was constantly like restoring half my HP. My Gallade would just slice everything into pieces. I don't even remember all of them.
Yeah, by the end of the run, it just gets crazy.
It is crazy by the end of the run, yeah. And I really like the relic system in terms of like, I obviously think the relic system could be a little bit better. It could be like, I think, because obviously the like gems are based on what types you have in your party, but a lot of the other items are just more random rolls. They're not really based on anything from my understanding. And I think it would have been really interesting if you had those items show up a little bit more based on logic. But I mean, I think that that's a very extreme nitpick. And I think my final stream of this game, we had Maz in chat, and I think there were a lot of people, either in CoCom or in chat. We were just really talking about game design and how I think this game can be extended in such an effective way just because the base gameplay loop is so well done and so addicting that you can extend it so many different ways. I know Voltzion was talking a lot in my chat. One of the more rare CoCom appearances of my friend Elliot, who's like loves roguelites. So we had really good discussions, but I guess I really like to my favorite run of mine was I had a trick room run. I started with a Dusknor and I think a Gardevoir, and one of the first totems I got was the one that automatically sets up Trick Room.
Nice.
And then I continually got super stacked ones too, because I had I think the Buffer Shield, where the first move you take in every turn only does one damage to you. And then I also had like 2 weakness gloves. So what I would do is I would switch in a Pokemon, have them take a super effective attack, and then get them like +4 immediately.
And it would only deal 1 damage.
Yeah, and my Pokemon would always outspeed because I had by the end of it I had a super slow team. It was so fun.
Wow.
Nice.
Did you guys have any like super fun runs where you had like a bunch of synergies with the relics? Because I think that's another thing with the relics is they all build off of each other in very interesting ways.
Well, just to cutting.
I know I did, but it's been a month. I can't remember all of them.
What you were saying, Kate, about like items appearing more for like what you find, kind of like how the gems do. If you open up the documentation they've got on the thread, not every item, but a lot of other items also work like that. For example, your Tricky Box for Trick Room, you're more likely to find it depending on how many members of your party have 65 or less base speed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually had no idea that's how it worked. I was under the assumption that it was just random. Okay, well that makes the game even fucking better then. Like,
yeah, like I think it's insane that they put that level of depth to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. It's crazy how deep this game is, I feel like.
Honestly.
In terms of like my broken run, for the run that I did win, I very nearly lost, but I had an item called, I think, like Hero's Cape. And it meant that when you were down to your last Pokemon, every stat went up by 1 stage. And so that saved my ass in multiple situations.
Nice.
But also, as I went on, I also got an item called Moody Hat, which just raises a random stat every turn. I was using fighting types, and I got a fighting jewel, which meant that when I hit or when I get hit, there's a good chance for my attack and special attack to go up. And then
that's definitely like the most broken jewel. What?
It's good. And then I was also using psychic types, like fighting psychic types, because I had Gallade, and I got a bloody Tapu Lele, so I could set up psychic terrain. And then I also got a Sync Gem, which meant for like all my Pokemon that have types in common, they deal 10% more damage. So I think by the end I had 6 Psychic type Pokemon. So Psychic moves were dealing, I believe, like 60% more damage.
God damn.
Plus Psychic terrain existing.
My God.
Plus all my stat boosts. It was crazy.
I am shocked that didn't bite you in the ass. Having 6 psychic types on the team.
Yeah, I guess I never really had to deal with a dark type, huh?
I mean,
well,
I
don't think there were many dark types that were.
Yeah.
I think there was only really like Absol that was a problem.
I mean, by the end, I was also running away from a lot of encounters too, just because I had like the team that I was very happy with.
You can run away from encounter. Oh, like
Well, not like running away, but physically dodging the
yeah.
overworld
Okay.
Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I hit every single wild Pokemon in both of my runs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Not necessarily a bad thing.
no, it's not.
No, you get lots of potions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was never short on potions or Pokeballs at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've talked at length about the relic system. Is there any other aspect of this game, like what other aspect of this game to you guys like stands out the most?
The way that they did the type changing
I was
on
gonna
all
say
of
the
the
exact same
big
thing.
bosses
Yeah.
was interesting because it made you think on your feet. You had to make sure that you remembered what type it had just changed to. And
Did you
it
not
makes
know
you
that there was an info button that showed the Pokemon's type?
No, I forgot. But that's okay. That just gave it an extra like that.
Yeah.
That just means I was being extra smart,
Mhm.
using an extra brain cell that I didn't know I had. But it makes you like really think about your type matchups so that you're not like you go in against Suicune and you're like, okay, I just need to bring like some good grass and electric types. Oh, what do you mean it's suddenly like fire dark? And now it's ground normal or something like that.
Yeah.
Having them changing types like that makes you really kind of think on your feet and give your like makes you prepare your team better so that you have to be prepared for literal anything. And I think that's really cool. While
Yeah.
still having to deal with some of these like busted ass moves that they're using.
Mhm.
Because I remember there were some times where I just got completely one shot. Like my bulkiest Pokemon were one shot by this custom move, and I'm just, oh, I guess I'm done.
Yeah.
How many attempts did it take you to beat Eevee vaguely?
I want to say like 4.
I think I was similar. I was maybe 5 for my first win.
Like my stream was only 2.5 hours.
I think
But I
once
think-
you have like a good build going, it's like it's not that the like later bosses are harder, because they are actually extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But I think it's more that, well, number one, you can save in the rest areas.
Oh yeah.
But number two,
I took full advantage of that.
yeah. Number two, you get more like you get used to using your current team, and you know kind of how to play around them, I feel like. And you know, like, hey, here's X or Y wild Pokemon, this would actually fit really well into my team as well. I think with my trick room run, I was like, I kept looking for like slower and slower and bulkier and bulkier Pokemon. It was crazy. And I really like that aspect as well. I'll comment on the type changing as well, because I think it's really good. But I think I really like how you go like up floors, and there's a greater chance on each floor for rarer and better Pokemon to appear. I don't know if you guys ever had this, but on the final floors, I think you can run into legendaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did run into, I think I ran into Tapu Koko on my second
I love
run.
Tapu Koko.
And I love using Tapu Koko. I used it in a draft league once. And it is so fun to use, and I had a blast using that. And I think that's good because it also encourages the player to like continually switch up their party. Like you can keep making your party better and better and better.
Yeah.
Which is really good. But going back to the boss switching types, I mean I agree with everything that Ethan and Tom said. I think it is fantastic how well it is done, and I think it it does encourage the player to think in a more detailed, more intricate way about their team and how they want to use their team. I also really like how the boss gets stronger and stronger each health bar you take away from it. It makes it a lot more dangerous, and it makes the later bosses even more tough because they have more and more health bars. So I think it's really great boss design, and they're very fun to play against, in my opinion. And it adds a little bit of randomness, but like more controlled randomness than like crits, and because you have the opportunity to like react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for this sort of game, the random typing for the bosses really did just work perfectly, because otherwise I think every run you'd be trying to build a very similar team. You'd be like, oh, first boss is grass type, so I should be building my fire team now. Next floor, let's go build my water team. But because you don't really know what you're going to go up against, you're always happy to try out different things, and all of them are equally likely to be equally viable against whatever you face.
Yeah. And it also means you're not as likely to be able to toxic stall everything.
Yeah, because it might just become a poison type.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure how that works, if it gets rid of poison, if it changes into a poison type.
I don't think so.
Does it? I'm trying to think. 'Cause I was talking to Maz in my chat about this. I think the bosses get rid of statuses every time they heal, right?
Mine didn't, at least.
Oh, never mind. I think it's just Ho-Oh that does it then. There's like something different about Ho-Oh.
Berserk also has Pokemon with multiple boss bars, and I'm trying to remember how each one works.
There's nothing on Bulbapedia about if Pokemon turns into the poison type through reflect type.
Ethy, have you gotten
anyway,
to that
no,
part
Ethy didn't catch it. It's okay. It's okay.
Which part?
Nah, it's okay. Don't worry.
Okay. I fear we may have just spoiled you a little bit, but
that's okay, because I genuinely turned my brain off for a second while I was trying to find out about camouflage and reflect type, so I didn't hear you.
That's good. That's good.
So
I'm really happy for that.
Also, protein would probably be a good way to test it, just like for Ninja.
True.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think we can't like finish talking about this game without commenting on the art and just the graphics in general. Game. It is a gorgeous game.
Oh yes.
Like everything from like the mapping to like the custom like recolors or redesigns of the God, what is the what's the trio called again?
Dogs or beasts.
The dog trio and Ho-Oh is so well done.
I love the new Ho-Oh.
The new Ho-Oh is so cool.
That is a really good.
It's actually awesome. So cool.
Really good redesign.
And I love that like the main like evil character or whatever you want to call them, the son, like they share like design motifs with the new Ho-Oh design with like their hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like so expertly crafted, I feel like. Oh.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be very of this podcast to not mention the lore and the story, even though there isn't really one. That's why I did go through 2 runs so I could get every single lore piece. And I mean, it's obviously it's not the main draw to the game, but there's enough to keep you thinking about it. But also,
Mhm.
if you go into this game expecting a story, I don't know what you're doing. You're playing a roguelite. So I guess roguelites can have good stories. This
some
one just
roguelites
doesn't
has
really
like
have.
Hades, for example.
Oh yeah.
People like Hades' story.
Hades, God of War Valhalla.
Returnal.
Oh yeah, Returnal.
Valhalla.
I just need to play more
Isaac has a
roguelikes.
very good story, in my opinion, but it's like not at the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, and like this game's the same way. There is a story, but it's not. It's just like a logical motivation for like the player and the researchers, but it's not like super deep. But I don't think that's an issue. I think the moment I finished one run of this game, it was the same feeling I had with Tales of the Outskirts Stand. I was like, yeah, no, I don't like this unless this jam is crazy. This is probably my favorite game from this jam.
Fair.
Now, granted, I've only finished about 2 other games since finishing this game, so it hasn't really been put to the test yet, but
Yeah.
this game is excellent. And I highly recommend playing it to anyone, like even if you're not like a Pokemon fan. Like if you're a roguelite fan, you'll like this game.
Oh yeah.
It takes it does a lot of things similar to Binding of Isaac, which I just absolutely loved. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Any other comments on Tower of Ashes? Any other aspects of the game that we have neglected to comment on?
I did
Not
want
that
to
I can-
ask you a bit about the story, Cade, because I got some of the pieces, but I didn't piece together like the whole thing.
Yeah, I couldn't
know,
either.
Like something happened, and there was a dude who burned down the tower or re-burned down the tower, and then the main person we fight is their son. Could you give me like a synopsis of what happened? Because I was curious.
So I gotta
but
be
didn't
honest,
piece
I
it
don't
together.
actually remember the story a ton. I just remember it being good. A good enough like motivation. But I think the dad burned down the tower because he wanted to save. Like I think the tower itself is like evil, and like that might be why it like resurrects itself every single morning.
Oh.
And he burnt it
And that would
down.
explain why the
But
beasts
I
look like
could be completely making shit up right now. So go play the game. I think I literally would have to reboot up the game. I don't remember if you can actually reread the scripts in your bag after you get them.
I don't think you can.
But I
because they're just
don't
on
think you
walls.
can, and I think that might be like my largest nitpick of this game. Just because I was going back through and writing about Tower of Ashes, and I was like, oh, like what's actually the story behind this? Like I kind of remember, but I don't actually remember, and I still don't really remember. But I do remember knowing it was good. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's one of the downsides of at least for me. It's been almost a month since I played it, so I've got my stream like in the on my other monitor, like, what was I doing? What was this? What was
Yeah. I was like,
just to remember some of the better details.
Yeah, I remember at a moment like trying to scrub through my stream, trying to see when I like encountered each script or whatever, and that's kind of tough to find because there's only 6 instances of that over the entire 2 runs I did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, again, anything else for Tower of Ashes?
To touch on the
Not that I-
bosses a bit more, like this is like kind of a problem, but not really a problem I had. But I think because my team was so busted after like the first boss, every boss sort of felt the same to me because it was just matching whatever type it changed to. However, I know that like the bosses actually do have a lot of effort put into them to differentiate them. I think it's really cool that you can talk to one of the NPCs at the start of a game, and after you fight a boss once, they'll give you a rundown. They'll tell you what makes that boss unique and what kind of strategies you can employ for it. So even though I didn't get to see this too much because I just one hit most things, I do think it's cool that each of the bosses have their own sort of like mini mechanic to differentiate them because they all share the same type changing mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed, TBH.
Yeah,
Happens to the best of us.
But yeah, really good game. I mean, if I'm just saying my final thoughts, I loved it a lot. I think it did the roguelike genre justice. Because
Definitely.
I know, like, Cade, you say that, like, apart from Valhalla, you don't really dabble in roguelikes that much, right?
Yeah, it's, for me, I've gotten more and more into them. Maybe it's just because I've been playing good examples of the genre.
I think that's it.
Because honestly, I did try and boot up PokeRogue, and not saying PokeRogue's a bad game, but I did not get invested into that game like I did Tower of Ashes. But I think for me, the idea of non-permanence is kind of just a big issue for me. When I get something, I want to keep it, and I want to keep it forever.
Yeah.
And that's my main issue with the concept of roguelites. But again, I've enjoyed roguelite games, so I might need to see if I can, find some more games that are interesting like that.
Yeah, I think having the fun relics really adds to it, because that's what benefits the
Yeah.
roguelike genre, in my opinion.
Well, and those
them.
items make sense to not be permanent because you do want every
Right.
single run to be different.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if you're going in with that idea, then you're like, no, I don't actually want to keep these items.
Yeah.
And as much as I would have wanted to keep my Trick Room team the entire time, actually, I would love to just have those like saved and be like, hey, can I just like go on another run with this Trick Room team? I gotta be honest, dude, that run was some of the most fun I've had with the gameplay loop of Pokemon ever. My second run was a little bit more just putting shit together and hoping it works, but that first one was like magical.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair.
I guess, Ify, what are your final thoughts?
I mean, I can't really say anything that's not already been said. It was a wonderful, it was such a good, such a good design, such a good gameplay loop. Definitely, like Cade said, with having to, all of that loss at the very end when you reset, you lose all your good items, and you want to rebuild it real bad. That was where I was. But, it had great music. They did such a good job with the atmosphere of keeping it this kind of creepy, mysterious vibe that kept going. And I wish I could have pieced together more of the lore, because I definitely feel like there's more lore to it that's a little bit deeper than what I got. And some of that's just, I haven't played multiple runs. I beat Ho-Oh once. And I haven't been able to put all of the pieces together. And that might be harder for some players who don't end up doing 3 runs where they beat Ho-Oh or something. So I look at that as a slight downside, but maybe that's more of a me thing, because I have to play so many fan games to keep up with my content schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if that's it, let's jump over to the next game that we're going to be talking about, Pokemon Berserk, which is it a normal Pokemon game on the surface? Let's say it is.
Let's
say
like this, but I think it is.
Let's say it is on the surface. There's a new mechanic called the Awakening Phenomenon, which uses this Berserk gene that allows Pokemon to increase their stats in battle. There is a little blurb about how this is not completely well researched, so there might be some unfortunate side effects to your team if this, if what does it say? You may not want to use it all the time, or else your Pokemon may have some unfortunate side effects. Straight from the thread. Anyways, also this game has Gen 2 graphics.
And it is beautiful.
It is quite a beautiful Gen 2 game. But what I want to know, and the first thing that I'm gonna ask, is Ethi, because you are the least far along in the game. What the fuck is going on?
Oh my god. Okay. I don't know. That is a difficult question because the answer is I'm also opening my game so I can get exactly okay, now I know exactly where I am, what I've been doing. Okay. So I'm I don't even know where to start to answer that question because it's do you want me to begin with the start where I'm suddenly axed off, sorted off, or the part where I've had to completely rebuild as a second player now, which honestly kind of glad that I'm now using the water type starter because the water type starter was kind of busted. I'm really tempted to go back and just be using one of the older versions because the older version has Moxie where you can just keep boosting your attack, but then they changed it to Poison Touch.
This was purposefully a vague question, so I think you start from wherever you want to start. I know you talked already about your the first player potentially being potentially biting the dust. And
I mean, I don't think there's much of a way to interpret that other than
I wasn't so sure until I played a little bit more of the game, but
I thought, because I guess we can talk about it since we've all seen it, but when you meet yourself again outside the very first or second gym, I think.
Yeah.
I thought we were just possessed, potentially.
Yeah, that's what I'm under the impression of.
Well, then we're not dead, are we?
I mean, your
this
body
is literally
can still.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I guess this is the zombie question of is it still you if you're a zombie?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. What is your definition of dead?
Right.
Because in my opinion, sure, that might be my body, but that's not me.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't have Puggins anymore, and let me tell you, I'm so glad that I was able to go back and catch it. I was so happy.
Dude, I don't know if you guys
looking
have
at it
seen
in my party.
my short, but the first time I ran, so the original short was about me needing to summon Kenny to find another Lotad because I accidentally killed the first Lotad I ran into. And then the next short I posted, this was the first wild Berserk Pokemon from my former team that I ran into, and it was the Lombre. And I thought the game broke because it froze for a second. It was a different theme. I was like, what is going on? I saw the Lotad and I was like, oh, I didn't know you could find Lotad here. I looked at the name and it said Kenny and I was like, holy shit. That is one of the coolest
Absolutely.
features of this game, and something that can only be done in this game because they have killed off a character.
Yep.
We can talk about killing off a character later, but that part of it is so cool.
I think it's
Definitely.
absolutely perfect because I think you'll get so many people who are just mad that like they lost all their Pokemon from their first character. But one, then the game gives you a chance to actually get them back, and two, it does it in like a really awesome moment, just absolutely shocking the first time you see your old Pokemon in the wild.
Yep.
100%.
And it's even more like when you see them and they're labeled as Berserk Pokemon, you like I the first time I ran into my Mbat.
I think that's it.
When I first ran into it, I thought, oh, I'm probably not going to be able to catch it. I wasn't able to catch the Morgrim earlier, so I guess I'll just knock it out since it's gone Berserk and I can't catch it.
You killed your Pokemon?
I did at first. I
don't
didn't
think
know.
I've caught a single one of my Pokemon. Actually, I think I caught my Chimecha, but that's it.
Andy was in the chat and he's like, no, you can catch it. You can. Like, well, why couldn't I catch the other one? The other Berserk Pokemon. I wanted that Morgrim.
Wow. That's unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, I've caught all the ones I found. I think I only found one or two.
Yeah, I haven't found... I think I found, like, maybe 3.
Oh, wow.
But maybe. It might only be 2. I'm trying to think. I ran into Kenny. I ran into Kenny, and then I ran into my Chimecho. I don't think I ran into another one, actually, now that I think about it. I think I've only ran into 2. Granted, I'm not done with the game, but... pretty close to the end. From my understanding, at least. But yeah, there is a lot to talk about. Now I want to ask Tom. Tom, you have finished the game.
I have finished the game.
Do you know what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Okay.
I think you know what's going on too, right, Cade?
I mostly do, but it's like it's still. I feel like I need to. There's one of the things. Another thing that I will commend about this game is that it is action packed. I would describe this game as an action game.
It is
because
so dense.
it is so dense. You cannot go. You cannot hit a single map in this game without something crazy happening, which is wild. I feel like this is the first fan game that I've played that is like this. The first Pokemon game that I've played that's like this. And to me, there's so much things that have happened that I would need to go back with the knowledge and context that I now have, and think about it again and be like, okay, now I understand. Because I haven't done that yet, I feel like I'm still missing a few things. And like I still don't quite understand what happened in that cave when my main character got killed off. Like I still like, why the fuck is it a sickle? Like, I have not seen that Pokemon before. I need another explanation, and I'm hoping by the end of the game I'll get that explanation maybe a little bit, because I feel like I partially know what's going on.
What that sickle is.
Okay.
Did you say who the sickle is?
What was that, Ify?
Did you say who the sickle is?
Oh, what it is.
What? Okay. I thought you said who, like, oh, what? Huh?
We about to be Scooby-Doo in the gang and just take the mask off. And
they take off the mask.
Yeah.
It's actually your player character the whole time. They're just playing a prank.
It's just a prank, bro.
Yeah. God, that would be funny.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm glad things get figured out, because there's a lot going on with this game. It's very dense. There's no moment of rest, I would say, throughout the entire game. And I think that's either its biggest feature or its greatest detractor, in my opinion. That might be my hottest take, personally.
For me, I think it works well, but what you said about like like there is a lot that happens, and you're kind of right. I think to really understand it, properly and process it, you do kind of need to go back. I guess I have the benefit that I've watched pretty much all of your playthrough of it, Cade, and so I've seen it all happen twice.
Yeah, that would be, I'm guessing that would be really nice. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
to me, and also this is very much like me. This is probably part of the reason why I take so long to play games is when a large story event happens, I will sit there, not move, and try and unpack what just happened. And
Yeah.
I feel like those moments come at you so quickly in this game that you don't have time for your brain to just like reset. And then there's so many things where you have to like connect, you're trying to like connect the dots to everything else that's happening. Luckily, I do have a general understanding of what's happened in this world, I feel like. But there's still, it's just so much happening. And I think mostly that's a good thing. And I think if I was in Tom's position where I could go back and rewatch someone play this game, I think I would totally be of the opinion that this is probably a great feature, because one of my biggest, because I'm just going to make a random jump, but stick with me. The reason I have never liked reading, especially for like when it's required with school, is a lot of the books are very slow. And my favorite books that I've read, especially in like elementary and middle school, are very action-packed. This is why I think my favorite book series of like elementary, middle school was the Percy Jackson series, because those books have so much shit going on. You could not ask me to read like another book series. It like even now probably, just because there needs to be things going on. Now, granted, that was back when I didn't think about stories at all. And those books are also written at an elementary school level. So it's easy for young people to understand them. But I guess that's kind of my side tangent. But yeah. What do you guys think about the action-packed nature of this game?
Oh, sorry, go first, Evie.
It gives more of the severity of what's going on that I'm kind of here for. It gives some of the thrill that I love of horror movies, where there's like something lurking around the corner, something next is about to happen. Like you might get a moment of reprieve there, but there's still like you're one step away from like the jump scare or the next thing that's about to run into you or something like that. It keeps kind of building up suspense in such a good way. Even when you walk into a new town, oh, I'm being chased by this thing, or oh, I just woke up because I got bonked on the head, or maybe I'm dead. I don't know at this point with the second guy. But there's also just it keeps it does such a good job at keeping that suspense level up, in my opinion, that it's something that I really just, it tickles the good spot in my brain.
You make a great point there. I guess I was more just thinking about how this affects the player, but when you think more in the context of how it affects the world and how the world affects the story, I guess, it does make a lot of sense.
And especially like it's definitely kind of, it's only affecting like the story is only affecting me and the people I am directly involved with. It is not affecting the greater, I mean, it kind of is affecting the greater world, but like when you're being chased in the town, if you run into an NPC and you talk to them, they're not scared of the Berserk Pokemon that's just running around. They're just like, I like the weather. This is a really nice town. So it gives that extra level of like, why are you not scared? I'm scared.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes your character actually feel more important. Not because
Mm-hmm.
not because you are doing things in this world, but because things are happening to you.
Mm.
Yeah,
It very much feels like Doran's adventure.
definitely.
Yeah, I guess with like the whole action-packedness of it, one, it really does come down to taste. So I don't think there's like a right or wrong way about it. But funnily enough, like I really like the action-packed stuff. It's kind of what I like in a game jam when a game is like very dense and there's not much in between waiting around time. And honestly, like I guess like in a polar opposite of what Cade said, I almost wish it was more action-packed. Because like if I have one thing to say about the game, it's that the gyms sort of feel like a little detached for me. I do understand that there's some like plot relevance to it without going on too much, just in case of spoilers. But for the most part, it very much did feel like a break from the main story. And honestly, I didn't want that break. I just wanted to keep on doing the main story.
No, that's
But yeah.
definitely fair.
You make an interesting point because I think I agree with you unless there's something that I haven't hit yet. But maybe I haven't hit that part of the game. But I think also another thing that popped into my head, because I feel like I came out and I said I had a negative opinion, but I like this is more just a personal preference because it's very good game design. Just for some reason I'm a little overwhelmed by it. But I think it also, when we talk about like great aspects, something that's really important to me in a fan game is the world feeling alive. And this world, because there is so much shit happening in it, feels so incredibly alive.
Yes.
And this game is great at it. If you're looking for an example of a game where the world feels alive, look at this game. And what I think is even more impressive, and maybe this is because of my graphical taste, I think it is more difficult to make a world of a game feel alive in Gen 2 than it is in like Gen 3 and Gen 4. And I think this game has done an excellent job with that.
Yes.
The stalagmites that fall on your head in the cave, the impy that wraps you up in the forest. There's so much awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I like how every single area has its own like little thing like that. Like even like the cities, well, I guess Crayovia City doesn't. It has something else that I won't comment on because Edie hasn't been there yet. But
I'm sorry.
But the I think it's not Riverton. It's the second city with the gym where you meet your character who's zonked out of his mind or dead or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What's that city's name?
Oh, with the cars, right?
The car city. Yeah. Like that city has cars. Your beginning town has snow. Like it's all very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't show like too much of an action for it, but like even I think Andy cares about this a lot. At least for early towns do have a fair bit of lore to them. Like you learn about the second town that is apparently like in quite a bad state crime wise, but Doran's family has donated a lot of money to it to try to bring it up.
Well, that's Oil Pond. Isn't the second one like Victoria or something like that? That was in a very like
right. Second, if you count the start in town as first town. Because you have your hometown, then you go to...
Oh, okay. You're not counting that one. You're not counting your hometown. You're counting after the hometown, right?
The very first one after the hometown. So the second city you ever go to.
Vistoria.
Oh, okay. But that's not the one that Doran's family has donated to. That's Oil Pond City.
Right.
I'm confused. Oh, you're right. Yes. So the third town then, right?
But I think both of those cities have their like aesthetic, and it's very well done. both have lore.
Hmm.
It's almost
yeah.
as if those two cities have switched spots almost over time. Like, what was it called? Victoria? I don't know.
Where'd it
The
go?
first city used to be like this booming city, and
Vistoria.
Oil Pond was just a small town, Vistoria. But now Oil Pond's this massive city, and Vistoria is almost a ghost town, it seems. And I really like that.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And again, it makes the world feel alive. We talk about region design, we talk about lore, we talk about content, we talk about aesthetic. Every single place in this game has lore, has content, has aesthetic. This world is incredibly well done, in my opinion.
I
Definitely.
agree.
Well, I feel like we've commented on the action-packedness of this game.
Kind of want to talk about something more specific that we've all
Go ahead.
experienced.
Yeah.
What did you think of the second gym puzzle?
So seeing a memo swine, absolutely love it. Mwah, chef's kiss, no notes. But having to like doing the thing where you've gotta give it the black sludge to slowly whittle down its health, or apparently there was another way that I didn't know.
I believe that's the intended way. So you want the Siglyph with magic swap, whatever it's called, skill swap, and you want the black sludge to pass it to.
Yeah. So I don't know what I did wrong unless I had like really goofed something up somewhere. But I remember being told during stream, you're doing this the hard way for no reason. Like what? Huh? What do you
How
mean?
did you do it?
I had to use gravity so I could be hit by one of the moves.
What the
It
hell?
said, because I put my black sludge on Sigilif
Right.
and then used gravity so that when Mamo hit Sigilif, then the magician would work. It would take the item and we're good. But I
Right.
didn't realize that I could have just put it on literally anyone else and then swapped into Sigilif.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just stand there doing nothing for however long you want.
Yeah, I believe that's the intended way. I know Make Ninja, another Greek Pokemon fan game streamer. Apparently he never found the black sludge, so he just got the Mamoswine to use struggle while fighting it with the Siglyph.
There's no
Oh
way.
my god.
And
Oh
apparently
my
it took, like,
God.
forever.
Yeah. I think I did some hybrid way because my team almost died, but I still won the battle. But I actually, so this was a point of contention in my stream. Everything about the gym puzzle and how you need to like beat this trainer using like a Pokemon battle type puzzle is really cool. The coordinate part
Oh yeah.
makes zero fucking sense. Why is the origin not the statue, and why is it the ground that you're currently standing on?
That's
I
a
agree.
good question.
That makes zero sense to me, and there were a lot of people in my chat who were like, oh, just look at the one tile that's different. It has an X. And I'm like, yes, but the... I don't know. I guess I thought that the origin was the actual statue. And another thing that kind of threw me off, but this is because I was really struggling at this point, is if you switch the X and Y axis, the statue is actually on 2-8. Or it's on 8-2. No. Yeah. Woo. the statue that says 8-2 is technically on 2-8.
Yeah.
And that
if you
fucks me.
use the statue as the origin instead of the
Well,
crown.
but technically, if you're standing right below the statue, it also works.
Oh, okay.
Right,
I guess so.
But again, I think it should be more obvious that, like, don't just say the origin, say you are standing on the origin or something like that. And actually, I received a DM from Andy the day after I did that stream, and he was like, I agree with you. And I was like, okay.
Really?
Then the rest of your dev team are... like, I don't actually know who on the dev team decided that. I think I don't actually know who it was, but I just don't really agree with the way it was done. But
yeah, that's definitely a choice.
it did frustrate me, but I eventually figured it out. I think if that's like, I think if I wasn't streaming the game, I would have gotten extremely frustrated, because I think if I wasn't streaming the game, I literally would have gone on every single tile and tried to, and eventually figured it out that way. So yeah,
I'm of a very similar mind. I really like the gym puzzle, the actual battle puzzle itself. I thought that was
Yeah.
really smart.
Mhm.
And I'm really surprised. I don't mean this as like a backhanded insult, but it's a very battle orientated puzzle, and Andy apparently is the one who designed it, which I really think just shows like his versatility as a dev, because none of his other games have really revolved around deep Pokemon battle mechanics so much.
Yeah.
Maybe Iron Memory, but so I thought
but
that
that's
was
a
really
different
cool.
kind of battle.
Yeah. And the only thing, and it's very nitpicky to get into, but I do wish that the coordinate system was just a bit more clear. I don't know, maybe like a poster on the wall which shows like a Cartesian plane or something, or again like the origin being more clear about whether it's a statue or a spot on the ground. But otherwise, I thought that puzzle was lots of fun, collecting different pieces around a gym to solve a battle puzzle that's available from the very start.
Yeah, I didn't think the Cartesian like coordinates part of it was the most complex. I just didn't know which what tile was the origin.
Damn, my man doesn't know his Cartesian plane.
I don't.
Yeah.
I guess not.
Well, I don't know, because it's like Cade said that, like maybe you think the Y and X will be split, especially with like the way that statue is.
that doesn't. I think that's because the first thing I did was I assumed that the statue was the origin, and I walked right up to the correct tile, just one tile too far up, and hit enter, and I didn't get it. So that's, so I don't think that part is necessarily needed unless people like really don't know Cartesian coordinates and don't know that X goes before Y. I was just like grasping at straws, really.
Right.
Gotcha. But overall, personally, like I'm enjoying the atmosphere of this game and enjoying what we've seen so far. I guess Tom since Tom's already beaten it, he knows how it ends. I'm still sitting here just like on the edge of my seat, ready to see what happens next.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoy it. At least I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think this game is very, very good, and I have enjoyed my playthrough so far. I think for me to have more complete opinions, I need to actually complete the game personally. Because
definitely.
I'm still like, I'm pretty sure our player is dead, but I'm still like very confused on like exactly how this is all gonna shake out, and how it shakes out will impact my opinion on, because it just feels weird to me that nobody in the game acknowledges the first player's death at all.
Yeah.
And when I bash on a lot of immature fan games that I play, it is not dealing with mature topics in a mature way. Now, I don't know whether or not this topic has been dealt with in a mature way yet because I haven't finished the game. But I am afraid that I'm not going to get the closure that I want, and that is going to be an issue for me. But again, other than that, I'm really enjoying this game.
Yeah. We just got to see how it ends to see if we're satisfied with the ending.
Oh, Ethy, have you done the lab yet? The abandoned lab?
Yeah, that was my last stream that I did. Was the abandoned lab in the 3rd gym.
I love the lab.
I think we should talk about
awesome.
that. What's our thoughts on the lab?
Okay. I loved how they gave you like a practice run for the puzzle, or for the not puzzle. What is it? The chase scene.
Like the mini game thing.
The mini game.
Oh yeah.
They gave you a practice run for that where it's like no stakes. You just, oh, I lost the game. Uh-oh. It is what it is. But then it's like, oh no, now there are actual consequences. Oh.
I want y'all to know.
Which honestly I enjoyed. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I want y'all to know I failed that minigame about 20 times.
Really? I failed it a few times,
Yes.
but not 20.
I was at the point where I was like, why the fuck am I so bad at this? Because it's not actually that bad. I think the issue for me, and I don't know if this is a nitpick level or what, but I think I was going, like, I was trying to, like, move out of the way, and then I would move back into the tile too quickly. And I would still collide. And
I did that a few times.
that was... Because, like, I'm just doing this, like, very reactively. So I'm instantly going to hit left, and I'm not even going to wait to see that I've passed that tile. I'm just going back right, because I think I only really need to dodge this for one tile. And I would still collide with it. Again, I don't know if that's a nitpick or if that's just a skill issue. I don't know. But I was actually getting upset, not at the game, but at myself, because I was like, how the fuck can I not beat this minigame?
Should have practiced on the Chansey version.
I did practice. I actually beat it first time on the practice run too.
What?
Oh, wow.
I'm so confused. What is the practice version?
There's another abandoned lab in one of the earlier towns where it's all broken down. But then you can go up to one of the computers and play it with a Chansey chasing you instead.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Maybe I didn't find it.
I mean, it's one random computer in this abandoned looking building.
It was not.
I don't think there's anything even.
It was very out of the way.
There might have been
like one item in there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of Andy's things about this game has been how much he loves how much foreshadowing he was putting into this game.
Yeah.
Where, like, if you talk to all of the people, all of the NPCs, and interact with everything, you will get some of that, like, oh, this might be important later, the little mini game, or maybe it's just a little fun thing, I don't know. Or this one guy in one of the random in the gym with the first town, before you die, he's like, I'm having a hard time writing my story, and I'm having a hard time coming up with an idea. Oh, I know. I'll kill off one of the main characters really soon in the story.
Yeah, I did see that.
I didn't even notice that. Wait. Now I remember that. I thought you were going to talk about there are like NPCs in like that oil palm city that are like, yeah, have you heard that like there's been a lot of people going into the cave and not a lot of like they haven't come back, and if they have come back they've been like injured and stuff. That felt like more of a straight up like, here's what's about to happen to you.
Definitely. it. Love the foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
In both of those cases.
And also, I think this will probably be something we touch on a little bit more next episode once we have a bunch of people here who have finished. But I think it's really like the subconscious level of Doran is really, really interesting to me to think about, because he's got this level of self-guilt that I think is really, really cool to think about, and I think is extremely relatable, at least personally. At least, like, when he goes back to the cave to discover the blood of like, the player. And then he's like, why the fuck did you do this? Like, you essentially killed off this guy. It's your fault. When, in reality, it is not really. Not at all. So, yeah.
Another level of that just really spooky, kind of ominous stuff that oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to you guys wrapping it up, and I'll be sure to watch your reactions live or in VOD form.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am very much looking forward to finish this game as well. I feel like there's going to be a lot that still has to happen. Well, is there any other closing comments that we want to make on Pokemon Berserk?
Good game. I liked it. I look forward to seeing you two finish it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. And also, before we reveal it, if you've made it this far, comment below your guess for what movie Andy watched. And also, what else should they say so we know they've made it this far?
I've got something to go into the weird facts corner.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, we need you to talk about the weird facts.
Yeah, there was the fax machine was invented in 1843. The samurai ceased to exist in 1867. Abraham Lincoln died in 1865. So there was at least a period of time where Abraham Lincoln could have theoretically sent a fax to a samurai.
I fucking hate facts like this. It
That
plays with my head so much. So yeah, go ahead and put.
So comment below what would Abraham Lincoln send to a samurai?
That and what movie,
would you think?
Yeah, comment that and what movie you think Andy just watched, and we will reveal it in the next episode of the podcast.
Yeah, next week.
Next week. But yeah, any more fun samurai facts? Y'all play Ghost of Tsushima? Anybody else here?
I did not, but
Oh, that's so fucking good.
Send us off, Cade.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you guys so much again. If you've made it this far, thank you. I don't know why you would, but thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Next episode, supposedly, if this is in fact episode number 19, will be our 20th ever episode. That is 20 weeks.
That's insane.
Of y'all listening to us
Good
yap
Lord.
about fan games. Thank you so much. But that is it from us three, and we look forward to seeing your reactions to this podcast and look forward to talking again next week. So goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.